Ladies and gentlemen, we are now gathered to induct the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, you might say, is going to change the initials of what we refer backyard wrestling to, originally BYW to ADT. And the reasons why we're going to change those initials with his place in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame is what he has done over the past 8 months as the kingpin of the Alliance Wrestling League, which has quickly become one of the premier backyard wrestling companies in the world, and where he's led it by winning not one, but two of the company's inaugural championships. First, as the inaugural AWL Heavyweight Champion of the world, and currently as the new division champion. In addition to those accomplishments, he's been a four-time Alliance Wrestling League heavyweight champion, two times an HCW heavyweight champion, and a GCW Intercontinental Championship. Not quite that GCW, but may even be more important than that GCW. Over the past several months, our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has shown that he is certainly somebody that we should put up there with the favorites of Sportswire Radio, and maybe even those in the yard, when we speak about the likes of his cousin, the good guy, CJ Black, the current ROEW champion of the world, the destructive Jack Delta, who our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame has clearly said many things about. Tennessee Backyard Wrestling's Atomic Titan, as we refer to him here, as Hollywood Atomic Titan.
Or as I refer to him as Little Shithead.
Well, I mean, this is certainly my speech. I am the master of ceremonies here, but we'll come back to that, I'm sure, no doubt. But certainly not my opinion, but some other names that he has certainly referenced here, such as none other than somebody else from the state of Alabama, who was our first member of our fifth class of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. They call him the Nemesis, James Taylor. We'll come back to him. The wild card, Jason Storm, who's now in retirement, certainly enjoying retirement. I don't know if it's at the old folks' home. I don't know if it's at the nursing center, but certainly another name he has referenced, amongst many other names that you've heard of throughout the yard. But ladies and gentlemen, I think about our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, who will be our fifth member of our fifth class and our 45th member, which ironically is the number that Michael Jordan had when he played for, ironically, the Birmingham Barons in baseball. And it was the number that he returned with the Chicago Bulls back in March 1995, nearly 29 years to this day. That in many ways, our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame very well could be trailblazing his own trails, very similar to that guy I just referenced as number 45. When I think about our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame and comparing him to the previous members that have been inducted from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all types of sports, and even all wrestling, which certainly matters here on Sportswire Radio, I think that this induction, to put in our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, is really about the future. Because when I look at the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame and his sheer raw talent and his sheer abilities in the ring, from what he's done in basically cutting down nearly every single person he has squared off in the ring, and according to him, would even say cutting down the size or even wanting those that may want to face him to not want to show up, in his words, of course. I believe that this induction is for the future, because when I think about the newest member of the Sportswire Radio's Hall of Fame, I truly believe that he will be inducted 1, 2, 3, 4 times over, and if there's other Hall of Fames out there, he'll pretty much join those fairly easy and quicker than a New York Minute, or maybe even quicker in how he nearly destroys all of his opponents. Kind of in a way, similar to some guy you used to reference when you were able to reference him, named Brock Lesnar. They do, after all, have several in terms of the amateur wrestling, weightlifting, powerlifting, all those different types of things. But, ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on and on about our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And I didn't even bring up the group that he has led, which very well, single-handedly, could be the most dominant faction in this sport and in the yard, the Black Flag Army. We'll certainly come back to them. But I feel as if I've said enough, and now it's time officially to induct our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, our 5th member of the 5th class, and the 45th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Once again, sharing that number to another person that once played in the state of Alabama and was one of arguably the greatest athletes to have ever played in any particular sport. Number 45 himself, Michael Jordan. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have our own Michael Jordan of the yard. We now have our own Michael Jordan of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But before I officially congratulate the new division champion, ADT, the Kingpin, and a part of the Black Flag Army in the Alliance Wrestling League, as the previous 44 members have gotten that same introduction, and as your master of ceremonies, ADT, it's time for you to get that introduction that you've gotten time and time again here on Sportswire Radio, and the many colleagues that are in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame have gotten. So now it's time to do it, and it's time to take your place in history in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, the reigning, defending AWL New Division Champion, the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, number 45 himself, is the Kingpin, ADT. The champ is here. Congratulations, my friend. You're in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Appreciate it as always. Always an amazing introduction. Always a blessing to be here.
I'm happy to have you. And, I guess I should ask you, there's a lot to talk about, obviously, in the current of the Alliance Wrestling League and maybe outside the Wrestling League and maybe even a name or two that we dropped. But I do want to ask you, obviously, to start things off in a way, as I've done for almost all of the previous members that have been inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. ADT, what does it mean to you now to be a member of the Sportswire Radio's Hall of Fame?
Well, the first thing I needed to do, to fit in with all the other nominations and, Hall of Famers is I had to rip off someone. So now that got that out of the way, it means a lot. It means that obviously what I'm doing is working. Like you said, 8 months, short time.
Pretty short. I would agree. 30 weeks, I don't know, 32 weeks, 33 weeks.
I've heard rumblings of, fledgling companies, needing some star power. And, here's the thing. I don't really consider the 3 letters that I wrestle for, the 3 letters that I have held on my fucking back, to be fledgling or needing help from any outsiders or stuff like that. But I'm getting carried away. What it means to be a Sportswire Hall of Famer. What it means, sorry. Just
that's okay. No, listen, it's your moment.
Right off the rip.
You can say whatever you want. Anybody, you're always welcome. You know that.
But it means the world to be considered a Hall of Famer, especially in such the short run that I've had immediately getting
Listen, I
recognized
think
as a
that
Hall
the
of Famer.
definition of a Hall of Fame, a lot of people can think about it in a lot of ways. People can say longevity, can say it's the amount of things you've done, but I really feel like that to me, a Hall of Fame, or the definition is what you've accomplished. What have you done that's memorable? And I think that sure, 8 months. It's been just about 8 months since you came back on the scene, but I think in that 8 months, what you've done in the Alliance Wrestling League, what you've done in terms of being here on this platform, what you've done as a whole, what you've done to the opponents that you've been up there in the ring with. You've cut them all down to size, some depending on who you may see and who you may say to, would say that they wouldn't want to go in the ring with you. And if it really, for all intents and purposes, wasn't for an injury, I mean, I don't know if you ever would have lost a match, period, especially in another promotion that has four initials about a family member that, about that's a part of that company. But I digress on that. But I really think, to me, the Hall of Fame, again, is about what you've accomplished. It doesn't matter. Some people, like I said, would say, well, you have to do it for 28 years or 22. I don't know what the qualifications are. But for me, it's really what you've done. And I also think, ADT, what you will do in the future. Because I think that you've got the whole future ahead of you. You've got endless opportunities, limitless things that you can do. And you're just getting started. And you're nowhere near your prime in this sport. And that's why I said it. You're going to be inducted, I'm sure, into many Hall of Fames and probably be inducted here many times over.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that we keep touching on is the fact that it hasn't really been that long of a, tenureship here. I had, my first run when I was a child. And as it is very much obvious, I am a completely changed individual. What I bring to the ring, whether that be, on a physical aspect, a verbal aspect, nobody can fucking touch me. And it's not me trying to shoot down anyone else.
Sure.
But I mean, it's fucking true. I don't know if you've noticed this, Tom. There's a lot of people that will say my name first. A lot of people who's not in AWL that will say my name first. You know why? Because I bring eyes. People can try to sit there and try to shoot down the company that I work for, try to say that, we don't have the following. Maybe we're the little guys. Yeah, sure. But go fuck yourself. Because let's be honest, you mentioning my name is obviously saying something. You can have all the audience in the world. You can have all the followers. You can have all the nerds in their basements. But here's the thing. You call me out. I've never mentioned any of these bums' names. Never. The only reason I went to ROEW to kick the shit out of Jason Storm, and I would have won that match, by the way, if it wasn't for a low blow. Even with a limp ass ankle, I would have still won that match. But the only reason I went to ROEW to face that bum who is now retired, hint, but
I did mention that, by the way. To be fair, I did mention he's retired.
The only reason I went there was because he cost me the AWL Heavyweight Championship, a championship that I have, really tried to make that title as important as it is now. And hell, the same argument can be made for this new division strap. Tom, going into Gold Rush, I will have defended this belt 5 times.
I was going to say, and I have said this on the platform. I mean, you have gone above and beyond the means in terms of how many times you've been out there in the ring. There are champions, they defend it once every 2 months, 3 months. Obviously, if you're following a company with 3 initials that starts with a W and ends in an E, it's almost like their champion there, their main champion, he defends it once when he feels like it. I mean, you, on the other hand, when you were the world champion in the Alliance Wrestling League, and since you've been the new division champion at the beginning of the year, I mean, you've had, I think, 5 title defenses, as you correctly said. I mean, open challenges.
The 5th one will be in March.
Opponents. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've been out there. There's no question that, to me, you have been a fighting champion. Whether people like you or not, at the end of the day, you're in the Hall of Fame.
The work speaks for itself. The work speaks for itself. I've never been one to just, blatantly put out words. Now, sometimes I will talk my mouth off, but that's another topic for another day. But the work speaks for itself. I have been putting in the work since I have been back. And I've told everyone this. Champ is not spelled with 5 letters. It's spelled with 3. It spells out ADT. And hell, you might as well say that AWL is not spelled AWL. It's spelled ADT. I carry this fucking company on my back. I've been doing it for 8 months. Even when I was gone, the videos, the views, Tom, they decreased. You know why? This face was not on it. I showed up with crutches, and that video got more fucking views than most matches did. So,
Not
for
wrong.
people to
Listen,
sit there and try to
the numbers speak
disrespect,
for themselves. Listen, we speak all the time, and the numbers certainly say when ADT is out there, all of a sudden the views go up. This is why I said in my speech to induct you that maybe people say backyard wrestling is spelled BYW, but maybe it should be ADT, because when you're around, everything all of a sudden perks up. All of a sudden we see a heat.
especially people's nerves, right? We've been seeing it all over social media. I have motherfuckers shaking when they see that I mentioned them on a story, on a post, whatever it may be, because they know that they have to back it up with the best, not one of the best, the best.
Why do you think that is, in your opinion?
Because nobody can fucking hang with me. Apologize for the French, but that's just how I feel. Because nobody can touch me. Yeah, sure, I will admit I'm a brute. I don't wrestle as good as, an AJ Morgan, as a CJ Black, as a Jack Delta. Can I beat them? Abso-fucking-lutely. And also at the same time, too, I mess with people's heads. Just look at what I did to Jason Storm. Look at what I did, unfortunately, to my now brother, AJ Morgan.
I remember we spoke a lot about that in the past. Absolutely.
I made people's lives a living hell right out of the gate. And all for what? Not to be called the greatest. Just because I knew that nobody can touch me. That's what keeps me sound asleep in my bed, knowing that nobody can fucking touch me, whether it's on a microphone, in a backyard, in a ring. There is nothing that people can do to me.
Well, you know what? We certainly want people to go out and check out ADT and the Alliance Wrestling League. You can do that in a couple of different ways here, so make sure you do that. Let me say hello to some people. I want to say hello to my very good friend overseas, who's the general manager of Coming Out Championship Wrestling, Mr. Taylor Truth. And Taylor was with me when we inducted our very dear brother that we miss so dearly in Mr. Carnage, Sean Duffy. And Taylor, obviously, thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to induct Mr. Carnage, Sean Duffy. And I want to thank the family and everybody in Colory Championship Wrestling. Just a horrible, horrible thing. A young man passed away in his sleep, and just a terrible situation. And we were at least happy to honor his life. Your brother in the Black Flag Army, who was here a few weeks ago, the war criminal himself, Dylan Andrews, you're drinking in his honor. I could certainly see that. Taylor Truth wants to congratulate you. Also, he appreciates the nice belt. And obviously, those overseas are in here. And a man that is also...
Back when it was cardboard, right?
What's that?
I said people used to dog on this fucking thing when it was wood, didn't they?
Well, Taylor's here for the first time. So, I mean, he's really kind of oblivious to what's going on for the past 8 months.
No, I appreciate the compliment. Yeah. I mean, hell, this is way better than that fucking shitty-ass hardcore title TBW has. But, I digress.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm going to certainly plead the fifth on that, because we certainly do work with TBW, and I try to work with everybody.
That's fine. I'm just here to rile people up.
I hear you.
I'm just here to rile people up. No, I'm here to make people just go, why the hell is he talking
here? And I actually do have something I'm going to present to you in a few minutes. I want to actually give you something for a change. You're always coming here with things. I want to give you something for a change. But speaking of people from your home state, a neighbor of yours, you might want to say, his name is Mr. James Taylor. He kind of gives a thought, maybe a thinking emoji. He says, come on, ADT. He says also SMH. He's looking at the number of people in here, but I'm sure that people will come in. They'll be here. I do want to say hello to my buddy from the state of Indiana who just retired his stepfather from our good friends over in XCW, Michael Christian. Michael's a very, very big fan of ours on Sportswire Radio, and I did something for Michael for a change as well. And he says he loves the dress shirt. He says not as cool as his Sportswire shirt, because I actually gifted Michael a... Well, you're a champion, but I actually gifted Michael a Sportswire Radio shirt. So that's why Michael is very happy about his shirt. And I would like to know, Michael, have you gotten the shirt yet, by the way? I'd love to know, because I think I shipped it out Tuesday. So let me know that. And I'm going to come back to Mr. Taylor soon, because he says that he would out-wrestle you. He was. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. And he's a Hall of Famer, too. He is in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
Fucking hilarious.
But before I do that, I will come back to him. But ADT, as always, here we've had many people that have been inducted in the Hall of Fame, and we've wound up presenting them something. Now, only if you would insist, we would like to present you something to recognize the things you've done here, and also recognizing you officially in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So I was wondering, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, if I could actually present you something that would kind of acknowledge that you're in our Hall of Fame, only if you'd insist, my friend.
Of course.
Okay, well, I like to do that, so I'm going to put that up here on the screen because I've gotten the hang of it. So for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, there you have it, officially here. On this date, February 23rd, 2024, my signature is even getting better. We have given it known as ADT, is our 45th member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. You have our Sportswire Radio logo, you have the certificate of appreciation, and you have my title, my signature, and today's date. And congratulations, my friend. And certainly, I'd be happy to give this to you off the air. Just send me your contact information. I'd be happy to send that over.
My people will get out to your people.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you for the kind hospitality there. But obviously, wanted to present this here for the audience so they get a chance to see. And I hope that you would appreciate the token as much as we appreciate you being here in our Hall of Fame and everything you do for this sport of wrestling that we love so much.
I'll have to add it to my office, where I have the best wrestler of 2023, the best feud of 2023, the best match of 2023. Sportswire Hall of Fame, and the New Division Championship, the countless other titles I've held. It will make a nice addition, Tom.
I appreciate that very much. Obviously, I appreciate some guys have actually gone out of the way and said some of the same things. So that's very, very kind of you. And I appreciate that. I'd like people to follow the Alliance Wrestling League here and ADT. I like to pull it up YouTube, Alliance Wrestling. The most recent show is where ADT was in action, and he nearly killed Seth Maverick, literally. And you'll find out why if you watch near the end of the match. Also, Instagram, check them out, Alliance_Wrestling_League. They're doing a great job out there. Please support all of our other wrestling platforms. ADT is on Instagram as well. He is at ADT_is_BYW. So I definitely want to make sure people tune in for that. I do have some more comments before I talk to you about some current events and AWL for a little bit. First of all, Michael says it's still in shipping, but I have a Real Ones hoodie on the way, meaning Justin Parsley, another one of our Hall of Famers. So, Michael, good stuff there. I'm glad Justin could help you out. The Nemesis James Taylor from your home state of Alabama says, I am the Tyrant King in all of wrestling and truly in the great state of Alabama. Just saying. Your brother in the Black Flag Army, Dylan Andrews, the war criminal himself, says self-proclaimed. But James would like to say, Dylan, I know I'd laugh at someone who believes he's untouchable. Well, I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. I do promise to come back to Mr. Taylor, especially because of you guys being, certainly neighbors in the state of Alabama, the great state of Alabama. And I do also want to say hello to our next member of the Hall of Fame. We're going to actually induct Sunday night, right around this time. Oh, wrong person. Trinity.
Yeah, Dylan, let's go.
I was going to say, actually, well, Dylan will get in, but next coming up this Sunday is Trinity Parker. Trinity is important because, if I could for a second, she's actually the first woman to be inducted in our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. That's a really cool feat. And she is going to be the first ring announcer that we have in our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So I really appreciate all those things. First official ring announcer. I mean, DVG does wrestling and ring announcing, but she's the true first ring announcer, and she's our true first woman to be inducted in our Hall of Fame. So it's a great, great feat that we have her in the Hall of Fame upcoming. She is doing a fantastic job in XCW. XCW is one of our favorite companies, like here in the AWL and TBW and everybody else. And she would like to say Al Capone claimed he was untouchable. He just couldn't hide them tax crimes. Well, tax season is coming, and certainly I hope I don't get caught for my tax crime. I'm only kidding. I haven't filed my taxes yet, but I hope not to get any tax crimes. But thank you, Trinity, for that. Thank you for all. We're going to see you, I believe, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time coming up this Sunday to induct her in the Hall of Fame. So let's come back to AWL for a second, and I'll certainly come back to especially your brethren in the great state of Alabama, which is one of my favorite states, by the way, is the state of Alabama. I have always had an affinity for Alabama, even before knowing you and Mr. Taylor and everybody else. But I do want to tell you, and for the audience out there, so Alliance Wrestling League, you were successful once again, and I want to know, for those that are listening and watching on Sports by Radio, has Seth Maverick gotten up yet?
Who knows? I mean, honestly, I don't know. He played a dangerous game, Tom, and that was, for weeks. People seem to forget that, I am really all about. I'm not a guy who just talks. Okay, I'm a
I've
guy who
seen
can
it.
back up exactly what I say. If I say I'm going to hurt someone, I'm going to fucking hurt them. You might as well bet the whole house on it. So Seth Maverick decided that, over the past couple of weeks that he was going to, post on TikTok to all of his, underage fans or whatever the hell it may be, and preach to the whole world, because apparently he loves to preach too, that he was going to beat ADT. He was going to become the new division champion. And you see, that's just something that I cannot allow. You see, I've busted my ass week in, week out for 4 weeks up to that point, making this title relevant. I took it from him. You're goddamn right I did. He knew that there was another person left in that gauntlet match, yet he insisted to waste all his energy with Victor Thorne. Kudos. But you can't outplan the Kingpin. This is just a part of the business. I came in there, I took this title, pinned him 1, 2, 3.
You did.
And you see, the thing is I already beat him with a certain move. So because I don't like to do the same thing twice, it was only a matter of time before
the match was over, and it was Hillbilly
else.
Tilly was going to count, and then you were like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
The thing is I have not used that move since I have lost the heavyweight title. I've had a lot of thought go into the fact that I have not used that move. Picking him up on my shoulder, changing of the tides, oh my God, it just felt so right. And for him, it probably felt so fucking wrong, knowing that he was getting dropped on his damn neck and his chances at this title was sayonara, gone. And all I'm saying is that he should have answered the open challenges a lot faster. It would have been a lot less painful for him.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think then he kind of signed his own death certificate? And
Absolutely.
Tell me why.
Absolutely. Because, look, signing up for a match against me is I can't say that one. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid in its own right.
That was a rare, knowing you for 8 months, that was a rare moment where you actually paused when you said something. It might be the only time.
No, because I'm trying to save everyone here. Okay.
Okay.
I'm all invested in everyone, but let's just let's say it like it is. It's a stupid decision to pick a fight with me. You've talked about my background. Other people don't like when you talk about my background, but we talk about it nonetheless because it is very impressive.
Absolutely.
And you see, the thing is everyone thought that I was taking Seth Maverick very lightly. I did not take him lightly from day one. We all know his MMA background. We all know about the fact that he was a Golden Gloves, boxer.
Yeah, mixed martial arts background. Yep, sure.
Here's the thing. I was a wrestler. I was a very decorated wrestler in high school, and I'm very strong still to this day. And also on top of that, you add in all of the powerlifting, accomplishments I've had. And when styles like that clash, only good things can happen, for me at least, because I like challenges. And let's just put it like this. There's not a lot of people who can offer me a legitimate fight like Seth Maverick does.
True.
But I also, that being said, the inexperience and ignorance of Seth Maverick made him think that he could beat me, which, look at everyone who I've faced. I've almost faced every single person in the Alliance Wrestling League. Correct. Every time I'm getting close to closing that list, more people join.
So, yeah, no, I mean, do you think in a way, did he motivate you?
I mean, it definitely made me take it a little bit more seriously. But let's just, go back to what I said at the beginning. My goal, this title, is not just a mid-card title. It's not just the other championship. More people tune in to watch this.
Listen, you are the Gunther right now of the yard, some could say. People, sure, they talk about Roman, they talk about Seth in WWE, but the real champion in terms of who goes out there each and every week and who goes out there and defends his championship, and people look at him and what he's done the past 600 plus days as the longest running Intercontinental champion in history.
But it's just like the title says, the never-ending workhorse.
And by the way, you both have similar backgrounds, by the way, you and Gunther. Very similar backgrounds. You want to
I
wrestle
take that as a
Gunther
compliment.
instead? You want to wrestle Gunther?
I would love to actually go to a chop off with that man. That'd be interesting to say the least.
I would sponsor that match.
No, but all joking aside, I mean, like Seth Maverick, he's not a bad competitor. He shows a lot of promise, and that's one thing
Absolutely.
I try to keep in mind when I go into a match or when I throw out these open challenges. Anyone can walk through that curtain. Who
Well,
does
that's the
though
beauty
is a
of them.
completely
Listen, I
different
mean,
story.
I've said it throughout you defended the world title. I want to say at least half a dozen times. You've defended the new division championship now going on half a dozen times. I mean, it's a big deal in this sport when, people defend a championship once every few months. You've defended your two titles in the 8 months, like I said, 10 times, at least
Because
10
I'm a
times.
man who's never content. That's what it is. You see, I've always, one thing I could not stand, Tom, was when I held that heavyweight title for 120 days.
Yep.
I've defended it in the most stipulation matches ever had in the Alliance Wrestling League.
You were
And
4
yet
months
some
champion
people,
those 4 months. Yep.
And people just insisted on calling me a paper champion. Why? Because I wasn't giving every Tom, Dick, and Harry a fucking chance at this title? Absolutely not. No, you see, it's lonely when you're at the top. Everyone is clawing, scratching,
A lot
wanting
of
to be up
pressure.
there
A
with
lot
you.
of pressure, champ. A lot of people look at, when
And
you're at the top.
unfortunately, no one can really handle it except me. And I did just that. I went on a dominant run, like you said, 4 months dominant. And why did I lose? Because of a distraction by someone who's not even in this company.
Not even in this. He's not even in this sport right now. I mean, I even heard through
Exactly.
the grapevine he might even not look like what we remembered him. I mean, what we
No.
remembered him most when he was here on Sportswire, when that individual, he was here and announced his retirement. That was the last time anybody saw him really in a major moment. And I've heard there's a possibility that that individual doesn't look like the individual that we remembered on YouTube and so many wrestling companies he was a part of, including, certainly his home company. You wrestled it in a company that he tried to basically invade, which you were the champion for in the AWL.
Mm-hmm. And you see, look, I'm all about giving credit where credit's due. It's a ballsy move to call me out. It just is. Because like I said earlier, nobody can really touch me. And that's just truth. I mean, think about it, Tom. It was my first time in a wrestling ring, and I went 20 minutes. 15 of those with a hurt ankle, a shattered ankle.
How about the last match that we had that we just saw you with Seth Maverick? I mean, you were hopping around. It looked like you were a bunny out there in the ring. I mean, were you getting ready for Easter? I mean, like were you Bugs Bunny rather than Kingpin ADT?
Ooh. Ooh. Well, you see,
I've been working on my stand-up comedy, by the way, these days.
I know, I can tell you're obviously bombing, but
I can do comedy instead. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't look too deep into making any career, but you
Fair enough.
You see, Seth Maverick is smart. Like I said, he has that fighter IQ. He has a fighter IQ that is amazing, and that again, not a lot of people in the Alliance Wrestling League have. So he saw a weakness, he took it. Unfortunately for me, it was the exact same ankle I just got fixed. But here I am a week later, perfectly fine, double booked for Gold Rush. I'm defending my title a fifth time, and I'm probably going to make history being the first ever winner of that Gold Rush briefcase.
That might actually, ladies and gentlemen, say that ADT might accomplish more coming up here in a few weeks with Gold Rush than even when he did as the world champion, because holding the briefcase and then holding the new division title, I mean, those are some pretty impressive things. I'm going to get to some comments in a second, but I'd like to ask you on this referee situation, and I want to ask you your thoughts specifically on our general manager, Hillbilly Tilly, who I guess did a rather bizarre job as a referee in your match this past week. And he sort of gave, after what happened to what you did to Seth Maverick, and then AJ Morgan comes out, and you guys certainly do even further damage, maybe destructive like damage, you might want to say, to a man you maybe have shared a locker room with before, but I'll move away from that for a second. But he gave kind of like a smirk, almost like he smiled at with what you guys did. I mean, you have a take on that, or Hillbilly Tilly's performance as referee, because it was kind of bizarre. I think even you guys didn't know how to react on that.
No, as far as I'm aware, it could have just been Tilly looking at me and seeing himself, seeing what he used to be, seeing what he could have been. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Seeing all the potential. Because, I mean, it's no secret. Tilly ran HCW.
Absolutely. Okay. We had him here on the show. Yep.
And y'all talked about it for, about an hour or so, give or take, and, all of the stuff. But I think what he's looking at now is he is running a company that was founded by someone that he fired. Sky Felton, he fired him. Sky Felton actually had a pretty decent, backyard wrestling career.
AWL, yep.
So he sees Sky and he sees me. And he sees two people who he fired doing everything that he wanted to do, but on 10 times grander of a scale. And I don't think that sits well with him. But also at the same time, it might just be bittersweet. I don't know. Black Flag Army has nothing to do with Hillbilly Tilly. I was shocked when I saw him show up to referee.
It was just bizarre that even the way he refereed, but after the match, the way he left and kind of smiled at with what happened to Seth Maverick. You would have thought at the very least, champ, that Hillbilly Tilly at least would have been, I don't know, stayed with Seth Maverick and waited maybe for some help. And I was just curious on that. Because again,
Tilly's
I know
always
you and
been
Tilly,
a scumbag. No
I know
offense.
you and
I know
Tilly
he's my boss.
I know you and him don't have the greatest of relationships. So I mean, I just didn't know. I was just curious on what you guys thought.
You see, though, but that's the thing. Tilly's always kind of been a scumbag from day one. He's been down since day one, if you want to say it. But he's been a scumbag since day one, and that's just what he's always been. It's never mattered if it was HCW. It doesn't matter if it was GCW, ZTW, whatever it may be. But I'm not shocked. I'm really not shocked. Okay. And honestly, I think he might have just laughed as like rough day as in the office. I mean, it's not his problem. It's also not his problem that he can't. Well, it is kind of his problem that he can't find a fucking referee to officiate these matches. But
why do you think that's been? I had Dylan on the show, and obviously,
I heard that apparently we're supposed to have a new referee for Gold Rush. I heard, and I hope.
I think I said it on Dylan's show. It reminds me of when the WWF once upon a time ran a storyline. I said this in Dylan's spot when Major League Baseball went on strike back in the mid '90s. And the referees went on strike. And I almost have your referees gone on strike, or I don't understand it.
I don't know. I mean, Tilly's been spending all this money on titles, stages, and hell, even a wrestling ring. But maybe he just, forgot to pay Tristan. I'm a man who never works for free. Anytime you see
looking
me,
at that, looking at the way you dressed tonight, champ, you definitely don't.
Absolutely, this is the first time in a while I've been wearing, silk, but here we are.
I think you look even more fancier than the last time I had you on a couple months ago.
I don't know. I try to, like I said, I'm not a man who likes to do something more than once.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I do have a lot of comments. A lot of people want to talk to you. First of all, I want to get to our general manager, who are going to wind up inducting in the Hall of Fame in a few weeks. I do want to say hello to him, Mr. Hillbilly Tilly. I happen to like Hillbilly Tilly, by the way. I did smile. What the audience failed to hear was AJ Morgan was telling, if I knew what's best for me, I'd basically fill in the blanks off. I found that humorous. So that's his response.
Well, I mean, smart man that he actually listened. I mean, saw what Seth. He saw what happened to Seth. He let it happen too. The blood's on Tilly's hands as much as he could try to sit there and say that it's not. It is.
Well, he's wearing an Auburn Tigers hat, so I mean, you obviously got to certainly, have some remorse these days. We obviously, I'm not getting too much into the weeds, but certainly Auburn's been not as good as Alabama these days. So hopefully, for Tilly's sake, Auburn will pick it back up. But yeah, only can go up from here. I do, before I come back to Mr. James Taylor and a few other people, I do want to come back and say hello to my very good friend and hopefully your friend, Mr. Jack Delta. Of course, we honored him last month on the show, and we certainly always love when Jack is here. He says, much respect to ADT. I'm proud of how you're developing, and I can't wait to see how far AWL develops. Also, doesn't get the credit, but wrestling on that mat gives old school BYW vibes. And I do want to say for a second that one of the things I do like about the company, and I said this the first time you came, and I've had you on, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times at this point, and I've had a number of the guys on, Morgan came on, Dylan's been on here a few times, Tilly's been on here, is that I do think that you guys have a really good wrestling style. You have a good roster. I enjoy it's good on the eyes. Sometimes I watch shows and there are people that are on a trampoline and God bless them. But there's certainly the eye test is tough. You guys, I do think that the quality of work on the mat speaks for itself.
Absolutely. Oh man. All right. So I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite when I say this, but isn't it funny how things come full circle? You know how 1 second someone can go from hating your guts to saying something like this. I mean that's a very nice compliment. I'm not even going to talk shit about Delta or about how he backed out of
Well,
mine in
I
his
mean,
match, but
I
we're
understand
not going
things
to talk
happen.
about all that.
Look, I understand things happen, but I happen to be a big fan of yours. I happen to be a big fan of Jackson. I would like to see, everybody, go out there and, certainly, yes, I know on screen maybe we say things, but I think at the end of the day, it is about all wrestling matters. And I would be a hypocrite to say, you know what, you say this about somebody or say somebody about the other person. And I think that what we try to do here on Sportswire, whether it's through, supporting a cause that's for a young girl fighting Ewing sarcoma, whether it's honoring Sean Duffy, a poor man died in his sleep and left a family behind and everything else, we try to, give people opportunities. And it's about all wrestling that matters. So I hope that Jack and you figure a way out to work things out in the
If
future.
if I
No,
may,
yes, you can say anything you want. You're a Hall of Famer now.
Jack Delta has a lot of odd takes when it comes to the sport of wrestling. But I will agree with him on this. AWL has been on a hot streak, and it could just be me too to my own horn. I mean, hell, I'm a champion of
You
the company.
you shouldn't come on the show and say we suck. I can't have you come on the show. So the AWL
absolutely.
sucks.
Also, at the same time, so many people get tired of hearing accomplishments, but that's just the cold hard truth. I mean, we've been here. We're by the time Gold Rush comes around, it's 9 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's 8 now to be 9 in March. Yeah,
we have a quarterly schedule. We keep up with it around here, and it keeps us busy and keeps the lights on. But ever since day one, and it could have just been me. It could have been some of the other guys too, just to pull back the curtain. But like this is what keeps us going, And I could be the douchebag. I could be, I could be the person that everyone hates. I can be the fall guy, but also at the same time, I'm very proud of what we have accomplished in such short time. And there's so many moving pieces going on. Work that Sky Felton and Hillbilly Tilly are working to get towards. Like I heard the other day that we're working on becoming an independent promotion, and we're going to have a live crowd, and good old Tom. I don't know this. You have your email up.
I actually have it up while you're talking because the reason I do actually is for good reason. Is because I just wanted to, while you were talking, mention that we are supporting a match tomorrow again for plug for advertisement reasons. It's a Fight for a Cure. It's for Enterprise and Amplified Wrestling, and you can have the opportunity to support the cause coming up here on their Facebook channels. And we're actually supporting the match. It's for a girl that has Ewing sarcoma, and we've supported the cause. So I just wanted to put that out there as a plug. But go right ahead. Yes, you being an independent promotion is a pretty big deal, and that's something that shows the hard work that pays off.
Absolutely, and I mean, without the people that we have, without the roster that we have, we are nothing. But also without me, we are nothing. And as selfish as I may sound, I'm not here to bury other people. I'm not here to put them in the dirt. Nobody's put in the work like me. Nobody. I mean, think about it. If it wasn't for me and Storm, you wouldn't get matches like Christopher James and C Money, like Alex Cross, Dylan Andrews, Jack Delta versus AJ Morgan. You don't get those types of crossovers. And I think another thing that makes us very unique too is there's not a lot of cross promotion. We are self-growing. I heard there was some stuff that I heard that I'm sure we'll talk about in the.
Oh, I'm saving that
later
for
on.
I think. Listen, I'm going to tell you straight. I'm saving Mr. Taylor from your home state for the very end, because I'm sure that's going to be a big topic that I think a lot of people want to
And
hear.
we'll touch on some of those theories that have been made about, what could be beneficial for both sides of that going through. But
Okay.
let's
Because he
just
had
put
a
it
lot
like
to say
this.
about that. A lot of people really, they were interested in what he had to say. Hillbilly Tilly was here during that, and a lot of people really, they're curious about James Taylor's future. And I think that's obviously going to be a topic in a few minutes that I definitely want to get to, because I think a lot of people would love to see him, maybe end his career home in the state of Alabama. But we're going to certainly get to that, certainly soon for sure.
But as I was saying though, there's been a lot of talk, and I keep all the receipts, and I make sure that I know what's going on and what's being said about me or the company or the Black Flag Army. Or hell, I hate everyone else on this fucking roster. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I fucking hate everyone else. But at the end of the day, they are representing AWL, same as
True.
me.
Absolutely.
And there's
Absolutely.
tribalism way beyond just here as far as backyard wrestling goes. All wrestling does matter, of course. But
I like that. Thank you very much.
tribalism is huge. And there's a lot of egos involved.
Oh, I said it today on my show.
Mine is one of the biggest ones. I
But
guess it just runs in the family. But
listen, I was told, I've been successful outside of wrestling and doing this, and I was always taught that you got to have some ego. So, you got to have something, right? Otherwise, what are you striving for in life?
Exactly. But I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm just getting annoyed by some of the side comments that gets made about the company that I represent.
Well, you know what? I have a lot of comments, and I want to come back to everyone because a lot of people want to talk to you. We are here with the newest member, before I do that, of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. His name is Mr. ADT, and he is Backyard Wrestling because BYW is ADT, and he is our 45th member of the Hall of Fame. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. And if you are on Sportswire Radio, I hope you hit that sub button for us on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579, closing in on 600 subscribers. So I want to thank everybody for your support. I also am very happy to lightly promote that we have an internet radio station here, sportswireradio.org, where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you have a podcast, if you have live music or anything else that you want to do, we play it for you. We give people the opportunity in the community free of charge to get their voices heard and allow themselves to kind of learn the tools of the trade and becoming a podcaster or a DJ, whatever it might be. I give people those same opportunities that I have been granted. Also, we're on Facebook at Sportswire Radio, Twitch. We're on Twitch now at Sportswire Radio, so we have a number of different platforms. We just recently surpassed 2,000 followers on my personal Facebook page, 750 on Facebook for the Sportswire Radio page, so keep on supporting us. We're going to be back here tomorrow with the Big Bad Silver Wolf. His name is the Big Bad Silver Wolf, and he has a podcast. It's the Wolfpack Hour, and I promise you that's going to be an interesting experience. It'll almost be kind of like when the Beatles went psychedelic. I have no idea what to expect from this guy. His shows are, let's just say, interesting. I'll put it in a nice way, but he'll be here coming up 10 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. They also take her place in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, is Trinity Parker, of course, XCW's signature ring announcer. She's also doing a great job out there in so many other capacities for XCW. And also to be back here at some point Sunday evening, the man who I'm going to be talking about quite a bit here in a few minutes, the legendary Nemesis James Taylor. He's back. And this time he's back because I'm going to be calling some of his matches that he had in the past. And maybe I might even be calling a match of, I'm sure, somebody else who's going to come up here shortly. The Hardcore King himself, the TBW Hardcore Champion, the only Grand Slam winner in TBW history. I had to do it for you. I had to mention that. But yes, Mr. Taylor is going to be back here Sunday night. And I always look forward to having him here. But right now, we are here with Mr. ADT, who's taking his place in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So let me get to a lot of comments because a lot of people would like to say things that I have gotten a chance to leave out. My buddy Ron Franklin, who I think I might see here later on tonight because I'm going to do a post Elimination Chamber review show. So how you doing, Mr. Ron? The champ ADT is here. Glad to know that. Certainly, I don't know about that, but I'll certainly leave that. We also have here some more comments from Mr. James Taylor. That's funny because I've never ever on Facebook, but you wouldn't know that because you don't have a following on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You're talking about Dylan Andrews, the war criminal. It's okay, kid. Be humble now. Ron, move off the topic. I think you kind of missed out what you're looking for there. Make the title relevant. How? By booking yourself to win every match with guys you put below you.
Okay. Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
All right.
All right, talk to us.
Okay.
I'm gonna move this off the screen now. Yep, we got a lot of comments, but a lot of people I want to get to.
Okay. You want to talk about, humble beginnings, right? You want to talk about paying your dues. You want to talk about having a 25-year career in backyard wrestling. You are a grown-ass man who can't make it to the indies even if you fucking try. Okay, you rip off your favorites. Stone Cold, no shit. The Nemesis, get your Resident Evil ass the fuck out of here, okay? You want to talk all this shit because you couldn't hang in this company. You know why you go to TBW? Because that's where mediocrity is allowed. Okay? Nobody is fooled here. I am the kingpin of backyard wrestling. Booking yourself to win, not paying your dues. At least I show up when I'm scheduled to be somewhere. I drove my ass 11 fucking hours to Detroit, Michigan, got injured, went back. Business as usual. But it's okay. Let's just go on and talk about, the nonchalant shit that's not true. Like I said, the first time I was here, I didn't mention none of these bums' names. But we brought them on the show with me. A show about me, introducing myself. You don't like that I talk about my accolades? It's not your interview. It's me. What's the name on the marquee? Sportzwire, Reverend Tom Bryce, and ADT. It's a show about whoever the hell the lovely Reverend likes to have on this show. All wrestling matters. Yet we're so fucking quick to start shooting when we don't know shit. I've been busting my ass for 8 weeks, 8 months, whatever it may be. Whether it's holding this title or whether it's holding AWL on my back. Yet we want to have people who sit there and talk to TikTok people, talk in shitty little video games, or do shit that doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, I do this because I love it. I do it because I need to do it. I do it because, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, there was a kid who wanted to become a professional wrestler. And God damn it, I'm about to do the damn thing. When I go to Gold Rush, double booked. I go into the Gold Rush Rumble. I go in, defend my title against Cobalt, a professionally trained wrestler, and a venue that can shoot up to 300 fans in it. Unfortunately, private event. But hell, even when we throw in-game in a fucking backyard in June, I'm going to have that bitch sold out. You know why? Because it's ADT competing there. I was able to be enhancement talent on any other fucking company I go to. You know why? Because people like my work. My work speaks for itself. And everyone just always wants to be cool. They just don't know when to shut the hell up. When it's someone's turn to speak, you sit there and you listen, not make everything about yourself. Yeah, I talk shit. I talk shit when I'm mentioned. I don't go out there inserting myself to every other spot because I'm not fucking relevant enough to have people saying my name. That's the way that this goes. I am a star, as funny as it may seem. But that is the goddamn truth. Because I have put in the work. In that ring, on that microphone, talking to Tom on Sportswire. And yet somehow people just can't learn to respect the work that I put in.
Why do you feel that has been? I mean, you've accomplished a lot.
Because people see me. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but because people see me,
the floor is yours.
and they see everything that they have failed to be. I'm 22 years old. I've been doing this since I was 12. Back when camcorders first came out. Back when the flip was the only fucking way that you could put a video onto YouTube. And people see what I'm doing here. And they are scared because we are revolutionizing it. We're doing everything that these people can't do and then some. People that fail to make anything of themselves. And yet we're here doing this simply because we want to, not because we have to, not because our egos are too fragile to do it. We're doing it because we fucking want to.
Absolutely.
And we're making moves that not a lot of other people can make. Like I said, Sky Felton, Hillbilly Tilly, they're doing their best parts. Okay? They're making sure that the steps are took that are necessary to become an independent promotion, to get that 16 foot by 16 foot ring, even if it gets delayed every other fucking week. They're doing the work that is necessary to make this place bigger than what it is. Am I to blame because this is the face that we choose to be the face of this company? Am I to blame because other people who have doubted me on numerous occasions that continue to doubt me, Tom? Am I to blame because simply people can't understand that I am just better? Is it hard to process? I don't get it. And it's all respect. That's another thing too. I've done nothing but shown respect to James Taylor. So for him to try to sit there and shoot on shit that he does not know, it's wild to me. And people want to talk about being old school and keeping kayfabe and doing all this other stuff. But yet they're so quick that once their feelings get hurt, to just start throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I'm tired of it. I really am. Because
I can understand
we put in so much work. Not even just me. Christopher James has busted his ass for this place. AJ Morgan has busted his ass for this place. Dylan Andrews has busted his ass for this place. Hacksaw Brown, Seth Maverick, Tyson Gates, when he shows up. All of them. All of them.
Colbat being here, sure.
All of them have put in the work to make this place what it is. Yeah, I'm self-centered. I'm egotistical. I'm an asshole. I'm a narcissist. But God damn it, it's within my rights. People can think what they want. I'm not cutting that down. But if you're going to start throwing shit and hope it sticks, what are we doing here? I'm here to promote my show, get inducted into the Sportswire Hall of Fame, talk about my career, talk about what's going to happen. I should not be wasting time talking about some other person from another show when we have a big ass show in 2 weeks' time,
which we're going to promote in a few minutes. And that's why I totally understand where you're coming from. And, you know, obviously I want you to succeed. I've seen a lot of talent in you. I watch your product. I'm a fan of the product. I mean, I speak to a lot of guys in the company. And, you know, we want you to go independent. We want you to go out there and succeed. And, you know, obviously you have a plan and you're doing it, being the new division champion, being the world heavyweight champion, and you have to do what you need to do. You know, obviously there are people that would have loved to have seen James in Alabama, but that's a call for the management of the Alliance Wrestling League. That's a call for them. You know, I think a lot of people would like to see that just because James being home, I think that what he could bring to the table, but, you know, obviously it may not happen. It may happen. It may not happen. I mean, obviously that's a call for Sky Felton. That's a call for Hillbilly Tilly. I would personally love to see James in AWL as a fan of the product. I do think there's a story about James being in Alabama, you know, maybe him wrestling some of the talent. But that's a call that the management of the company has to decide. That's up to them. I would certainly love to see in connecting people. I would love to see him here just because I think the natural constituencies. But, you know, we'll certainly move on. There's a lot of comments, and I won't read everybody's off. I'll try to get to everybody's off here. I do want to say hello to my buddy, first of all, Brad Coleman from the United Kingdom, who is up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And he says here he's got a surprise for me, and he's coming back to Sportswire next month. And he also says, by the way, Brad Coleman was here a couple weeks ago, and you want to talk about shooting? He basically called it as is a big fan of yours. Says he calls you raw, calls you real, and he respects it. So if you got Brad Coleman's respect, you know, that certainly goes a long way. Tilly would like to say, Envy, Trinity would like to say it's nice to be impassioned about something. So that's good. I think that's a compliment, right? Also here, Omen Black would like to say hello. He says, "What's up?" He says, "How you doing?" Omen is hopefully recovering well from his injury. Dylan says hello to him. Also, let me come back to some
Also,
more
too,
comments.
congratulations to all of the IMF guys. I'm one to be real and give out so much respect when I see people just chasing their dreams. I don't know if you know this, Tom. C Money, my cousin.
I
CJ
know.
Black,
Yes,
my cousin,
I
just had
watched
their
the
first
match.
match in front of a live crowd. All
Yes,
thanks to Omen Black and Soldier JP at the IMF.
absolutely. Oh,
Me
listen.
personally, I'm all for giving people opportunities. That's why this open challenge stuff has started because I want to see who comes through that curtain. I want to see who's going to try to make a name for themselves. And that's why when Tilly first pitched the idea of Cobalt versus me at Gold Rush, I said, of course, because our first match was very good.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
Cobalt is out of his element in a backyard. He is a
For sure.
professional wrestler. So I'm sure March 9th, I think. I don't know.
Well,
March
stay
9th.
tuned. What I would say is stay tuned to the Alliance Wrestling League socials for the exact information. And listen, the IMF guys, we have them coming on here 3 weeks from now. Their next live show is where you're going to be. You're going to be in live venues. They're already in live venues. And yes, I watched the match between C Money and CJ Black. Fantastic match. CJ's a great wrestler. C Money's been here in the past. And I hope that you have the same success and the same things that Omen and Soldier have had here. So let me come back. I got a lot of people want to talk to you. I'm going to run through some different comments here first. Omen would like to say that the door is always open for you and the AWL, and I definitely agree about that. And besides, we want to see you wrestle more than Craven Rage does. I mean, I got to be honest. I would love to see you more. I mean, if I could say, if everybody could agree on this, I mean, yes, Craven Rage will be back here, but I mean, seriously, I mean, you want to talk about champions that really probably shouldn't be champions or shouldn't be champions, but I digress. We do love Craven Rage as well. All wrestling matters. But let me come back to Jack Delta. There are dozens of times where I didn't agree with how my runs would go or who I'd have to do business with, but it's the promoter's vision. Notice who makes it to places and who doesn't. Okay, fair comment.
That's another person who knows what he's talking about. 26
Yeah.
other companies. I had a line that I was sitting on forever. Imagine having to go to 26 other companies, make yourself relevant while I only had one to do it. But that's a different topic for a different day. Jack Delta.
I don't want to make it that because I do want to promote.
No, I'm not going to make it that way either because I really respect what Jack is saying here.
Oh, yes,
and
absolutely.
It's the one time in my whole career where someone hasn't tried to just shoot me down immediately. And Jack Delta knows, if anyone knows what it's like to be professional. I look at ESW, as do most yarders. Yep. ESW is that place to be. It never fails. Jack Delta has been there. He has been a champion there.
Yes, correct. And
so
I would
if
say
anyone's opinion that I need to listen to, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, it's probably self-destructive Jack Delta.
Well, I think that Jack Delta definitely does know what he says in a lot of things. And also, another company I like to shout out real quick is VTW, which is, to me, very similar to what ESW does. VTW
They are very, very good. I really enjoy watching them.
VTW,
yep, yard promotions that I can watch and not vomit.
No, VTW, I mean, we just had Brandon Costelli on yesterday, who we inducted into the Hall of Fame. He works for them, and their talent is just through the roof. But let me come back to some more comments. I'm going to make you laugh with Atomic Titans comment. He says, Tom, let's be honest, there's no James Taylor match.
Damn.
Math. There's no James
Taylor. It's a cheap
Taylor.
pop for, mentioning the person I'm having heat with, but, I respect it.
All right, fair enough. And he just wanted to say that first time I seen you, you gave me an old school wrestler vibe, and I respect anyone. Hope you all do well, and I'm here to help anyone out if anyone needs it. BYW forever. There it is for Atomic Titan. Obviously, we love the Titan here. Also want to say hello to Mr. Coleman once again. Trinity Parker wants the popcorn out. What kind of popcorn you like, Trinity? Jack also wants to say it's that Triple H quote that goes along the lines of, if you don't have a bunch of haters, you aren't doing it right. I've realized that. Not everyone likes me or what I do, but people still watch. Also, Atomic Titan wants to point out, listen here, if James Taylor knows what's best for him, he would stop running from me.
Oh God, it's good.
See, I
It's
mean, we
very
did a
good.
little bit of everything on Sportswire. See,
Very
hopefully
good.
you feel now you're feeling like you're ready to talk about Gold Rush in a few minutes. And Taylor goes back and forth with him. I want to say hello to the Big Bad Silver because he's here tomorrow. He heard my plug. So how you doing, Big Bad Silver Wolf? He's I thought you have a podcast now. Aren't you on today, Big Bad Silver Wolf? Or am I missing the time? I thought you were on already, but give him a follow. He's on YouTube at Big Bad Silver Wolf. It's Silver Wolf, I think 367 or something like that. But go give him a sub. Also, Jack wants to say, I pulled out of the match. I only hated your guts because we were building towards something because it's business. Regardless of whatever I might have said or odd takes with wrestling, I respect ADT. There you go.
All
Also
right, I got a
here,
genuine smile out of me. Look at that. All
I
right, cool.
told you, listen, that's what I try to do on Sportswire. I'm the GM, not security. Okay, that's a good line. And
That's
I
a
also,
very late, Tilly. Jesus Christ, go to bed.
well, it's but Auburn season's over, right? So I mean, what else are you gonna go look
I
forward to?
mean,
You know,
I mean,
although
I'm just
Auburn, I think we
stating the
should go.
fact that we talked about that at the beginning of the episode, and he just now talking about it. That's how
Well,
far behind he might have not known until last week that he was without a referee. He
Well, you
might
know
have not
what?
realized
Well,
this
listen, you
entire
can't
time.
blame him. You can't blame him because his Auburn Tigers certainly haven't had the best couple of years, and he's watching Alabama. And listen, they'll even replace Saban and still probably win 10 games in their sleep. And Auburn will struggle to probably be bowl eligible and win like 3 games in the SEC. I mean, so it's unfortunate.
Uh,
I know Tilly's going to kill me for that when he comes on and gets inducted, but that's here nor there. Much respect to ADT. I'm proud of how you're developing, and I can't wait to see how far AWL developments also doesn't get the credit. Yeah, we spoke about that already. I'm behind James and Dylan going back. We kind of addressed the James stuff, so I'm going to move on in the interest of, some positivity. Also, want to say hello to my guy, Mr. Dirty Donnie. How you doing, Dirty? I saw Dirty on XCW TV because the foundation were on XCW TV because next week they're going to be wrestling at Encounters against my buddy Justin Parsley and the Essential One Rob Slater for the XCW Tag Team title. So certainly the IMF guys are everywhere at this point. I need a scorecard to figure out where those guys are. 4 up, 4 down, meaning the foundation. Places to be: ROEW, XCW, TBW, Resurrection, AWL, DKW, and IMF. I've been to 4, and I've got more places I have to be at, like AWL. That'd be nice. Maybe we can make a trade, right? AWL and IMF.
maybe I mean, hell, Tilly
Do they
seems to be
do
the
trades
guy
in
that
wrestling, by the way? Do we do trades in backyard wrestling or other types of wrestling?
I
Can we
don't
make trades?
know because I mean, I think I'm signed to AWL. Morgan's kind of up there. It seems here recently, which is a little concerning. Seeing the position that Morgan is in. But I don't know. It's backyard wrestling. Anyone can show up at any time.
Oh, for sure, no question about that. Jack and certainly Jackson Law would certainly also be somebody like that. Aaron Blaze, obviously, certainly Omen and Soldier and everybody else that's out there. Would love to test my skills against ADT and Andrews. And then he says, certainly, let's keep it friendly and certainly maybe one day, never say never. Us and Omen and Soldier are going to be here 3 weeks from now. They're going to be here on the 15th because the IMF has their big show on the 16th. And we always love having Omen and Soldier because it is, after all, Omen shows. I mean, it is Omen shows. So I want to make sure that Omen gets to come back on Sportswire. But Titan wants to say, yeah, F James Taylor. No wonder he's no longer in TBW because he's scared of both of us. That's what
Shit.
so, maybe that's true. I don't know. Listen, I don't know. You know what? Listen, James Taylor, we spoke about this. I'm going to come back to Gold Rush in a minute. But, we spoke about this when he was here. He's a free agent. He has to figure out what he's going to do. Is it going back to TBW? Is it maybe working things out with the management AWL? Is it showing up in IMF? Is it going to the Indies? There was some talk about him going to New South Pro Wrestling. We have the guys on who used to be in TBW once upon a time. They were talking about him going to the SWF. And, there's a lot of things out there. So he's going to make his decision. I'm sure it's going to be a great decision. He's going to be here Sunday night. We're going to talk about that. You're here in the meantime. And, let's talk about Gold Rush. Obviously, this is the biggest show in AWL history. You've got a great assortment of talent. You're wrestling twice. Talk about how big this show is going to be. You touched upon a little bit of it before where, we're going to the independents. We're getting the ring, but talk about, what this means to you now that we're a little bit closer than we were the last time we spoke to you.
I mean, me personally, my experience with the whole thing has really just been, I've been trying to be very focused, very disciplined, making sure that I take all the necessary moves to give my best performance to that date, and I've never been in a ring besides, once. And, I'm trained somewhat, but again, that was also when I was a child, when I thought I was going to make a career out of this, before I started my amateur wrestling background and all that other stuff. Um, so there's obviously, and it showed in the ROEW match as well, there's some squeaky wheels that we need to fix beforehand. But also at the same time, I think it's exciting, not only for myself, but for the company as a whole. Like I've been saying, we have been trying to go against, you know, not against, but like it seems like the whole mantra here recently has been, you put ropes around a ring, or ropes around a trampoline, you put people in a trampoline, you put ropes up in the damn ground, you put a, and you just start wrestling. Well, also at the same time, we're trying to make sure that when you click on those videos, when you hear, Motionless in White play on the show's intro, you get a different feel.
Sure,
And,
absolutely.
and,
No
and
question.
that's something that I try to do a lot, is whether I'm on the mic, whether I'm in the ring or a backyard, I'm trying to make people feel something. Now, some of the times it's a lot, most of the time it's shit that people don't like. Not a lot of people like how I wrestle, and there's a good guy who doesn't like how I wrestle either, but that's a topic for another day.
Well, he
Um,
has defeated Jack Delta, by the way.
that is fair. That is fair.
And he has
But
defeated JX, by the way, who JX is also another well-traveled individual. So, and he also wrestled live, and he had a really good match, by the way. I mean, his resume,
as
can't deny it.
as his family, like out of character, as his cousin, we didn't grow up together. But also at the same time, I know and I can relate to that dream of wanting to do this in front of a crowd so much. So I know it most people can't say that they performed in front of a crowd. Most people
Absolutely.
can't say that they opened up a card, which is a very big
I
responsibility
think the highest responsibility is either
because it's the
being
pace
close.
setter.
It's
It's
either
it's
first or last. Agreed. I agree.
it's the
Yes.
first impression, and also too, even though IMF and the ROEW crossover has happened, there's been a lot of times, where this might be the first time they're ever seeing C Money, CJ Black,
Sure. Because that
and
live audience is not on YouTube. They're not like us
exactly,
watching every show. They haven't seen this. They don't know. There's a curiosity factor. I agree.
exactly, and then that's why I'm not looking past Gold Rush, but also at the same time, Gold Rush is a step in the right direction to get me in front of a live crowd and live out something that I have been scratching and clawing for a lot of things that teachers, other kids when I was growing up, adults telling me that you'll never be a professional wrestler. You don't have a future out of this. You're gonna have to be a blue collar guy, work his 9 to 5, which I am, but also at the same time, I kick ass on the fucking weekends. Let's go ahead and get that straight. I kick ass
There
and
you
I
go.
down a
All
shit ton
right.
of Miller
Yes,
Lite.
you
But
do.
also at that same time, I've always been known to work hard for what I get. And Gold Rush is, a step in the right direction for my career personally because, without people like me, without Christopher James, Dylan Andrews, AJ Morgan, all of the individuals in the alliance, you don't get events like this. You don't get events like in game that is going to be way bigger than hell. Probably I'll imagine. But also too, it's pretty ridiculous how far we've got from 3 guys on a mat, and Sky Felton being the ringleader of the circus
I remember when
to
the first
now.
video came out. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
you think about from where the company goes, and yeah, I got to start somewhere. And I do want to get to a couple things here first. How about this? I'll induct you in the Hall of Fame before number 69 because I kind of see the reference there. So I'm gonna actually induct you in the Hall of Fame, Dirty, before number 69 because that's a long time from now, and I see the reference there. But no, there's no petition needed. I'll induct you in the Hall of Fame before number 69. So I promise you that. I don't know if I'd want to be the 69 because I see where he's going there with that. But, I'm going to leave that at that because we are a family show on
Uh,
Sportswire, and there are many people of many backgrounds around the world that listen to us. But yes, you can have rest assured that I will induct you in the Hall of Fame very soon before the number 69. So how about that? How about that? How about make that deal? And I hope you take it. And I hope that you would want to be in the Hall of Fame. I hope that anybody would like to be in the Hall of Fame. Before I come back to you and ask you something about wrestling in the ring and for the first time, I am truly a fan of what you stand for and your opinions and point of view of this sport and business. We stand for the same opinion and views. I appreciate that. Love that.
And that's the thing too, not to cut you off, but also at the same
Sure.
time, Omen, Soldier. I've been Soldier. I've been seeing what they have been doing, and like I said, I kept eyes on the game, but again, outside of ESW and ROEW, I really didn't know a lot of places, and because of the relationships that are formed with ROEW, it's opened my eyes to a couple other yarding promotions, but seeing what Omen and Soldier have done to take IMF to that next level, I respect that.
Oh my
I
God,
respect that as how they've done
they've
as
only been
talent
in
to
existence
get up to
for
that.
less than 2 years. I mean, what those guys have done, I mean, they really hustled it. These guys were out
Because
there
I
and
also
yep,
feel the same way about how we're doing stuff here at AWL.
yes,
I
I
mean,
do.
you think
I
about it.
agree with you.
People didn't like how we were. We didn't have certain type of look to us, so we started changing up. People started wearing their own custom stuff. I mean, look at the stuff that Christopher James comes out to.
I see. Yes.
Like, we wanted a more professional feel, so people actually started training. You have professionally trained wrestlers in the alliance now. People didn't like how our titles look. Now people love them, and
Hey,
people
listen,
want their
my
hands on it.
friend Taylor Truths, right? GM of Coming Out Championship Wrestling out there all the way on the other side of the world. Love the belt. I mean, if Taylor, he's a very respected man in this sport. I mean, if he's saying he
And
liked the
then
belt,
the
that tells you
last
something.
the last thing I heard too was people didn't like how we didn't have a well developed roster and that we didn't have a wrestling ring. Now we have 14 people that are fully signed, and we have a ring on the way, and we're about to do our first show in a ring. And this is just me personally speaking here. In a short amount of time, we've managed to any issues that people have had with us, we've went, here it is. Now what's your issue with us? And hell, we even jumped the gun because I already knew, the second that we got that ring, everyone's been talking. The game's going to change completely. The game's going to change completely because there's only so much you can do on a map. And
Oh, for sure.
the trip
Listen.
to ROEW was certainly an eye opener to say the least.
And that was the eye opener for me, by the way, when I saw right that ROEW had a ring. This had to have been 9-10 months ago, whatever it was, maybe 10 months ago. I was like, that's a company that does things differently. That's a
Exactly.
company that
And
does things differently.
I know Sky and Tilly, they were going back and forth on the ring, and maybe it's too early to pull that trigger. And then you have people at the front run like me, Christopher James, who again are doing it for the love of the game. Everyone here is doing it for that. There's no personal gain out of this.
Oh, listen,
We're
what do
doing
I
it.
say all the time? Listen, I say it all the time. We have the internet radio. I provide that out of my own pocket. Now, obviously, personally, people would see my bank account and they might say, well, would you want to buy a promotion? I say, well, but the point is that, I go and do this because I love the sport and I want to give people an opportunity. And I believe in giving back, and I think that all of us, realistically, let's be real for a second before we move on to a few other things. We're not getting rich off this. We're doing this because we love wrestling. We love this sport. We've made friendships. We've gone out and networked. The reality of it is that, nobody's getting rich off this. I mean, sure, our YouTube pages, you get whatever you get. But the reality of it is that we're doing this really because we love this sport. And I think that that's at the end of the day, that should always be our common bond. There's always so much that can be said in life. I did when I inducted our afterlife, Mr. Sean Duffy, Mr. Carnage, I had said, wrestling should always be a way to unite people. There's so much that goes on in the world, in our day-to-day lives, whether it's just when you read the news, you see people fighting wars, debts, crime, all these different things. But wrestling is that escape. Look at Sportswire. I speak with people one day on the other side of the world, and I'm with you here. Yesterday, I'm not too far from my neck of the woods. Who knows where I could be next? And that's really what it's about. And that's what we want Sportswire to be, and we want you to succeed. And I want everybody to succeed. And that's why We want people to follow the Alliance Wrestling League on YouTube, Alliance_Wrestling_League on Instagram. And let me get to some more comments because people like that. Dirty likes to give you respect, and Dirty said that he just wanted to call his number out. But I'm not going to put you 69. I saw the reference. I'm going to get you before 69. I don't know. Maybe somebody shouldn't be 69. I don't know. Backyard wrestling and the indie scene is all guys that love wrestling and want to see it continue. Absolutely. Listen, it's because we're here. I equate it to like if you're going out and you're playing pickup basketball. You love basketball. You're playing in the park with, because you want to go out there and enjoy the game. You enjoy the sport. And that's what it's about. When I wrestled at BCW, it took like 6 months for their ring to be delivered from the monster rings. Just be patient. Listen, XCW, for example, which Omen and Soldier just came out of with Dirty. XCW is 21 years. They didn't start with the ring right away. Fletch really only in the last like 2 or 3 years, his company looks like,
Well, also too, I feel like that's a big thing, and it's bittersweet getting off the mat because as much as I
get off the
love
mat. I
a
gotta be
ring,
honest. I love you. You're in my Hall of Fame, but you got to get off the mat. You got.
yeah, it's just limiting at the end of the day, but also at the same time, there's stages. When you first looked at AWL, the first thing you thought was, man, this looks like old style backyard wrestling.
Yep.
It had that feel to it. From the second that someone walked out.
When Tilly was here, he spoke about his days on the ground.
Exactly. And hell, I've paid my dues as far as, having to wrestle on the ground, having to wrestle on a mat, and then I finally got the opportunity to wrestle in a ring at ROEW, which I'm eternally grateful for. But also at the same time, now I think as a company, Tilly and Sky Felton are looking at it the same way that kind of a lot of us are, and we're like, we just don't want to be backyard wrestling. Not that there's anything against it, but also at the same time, it's just the evolution of things, because evolution is going towards, all right, we're starting to run out.
You should never go backwards in life. You should never go backwards.
And also at the same time, that's another reason why at Endgame they want us to have a live crowd, because it should just be something that never stops growing.
Well, I'm actually gonna do something on air. I'm gonna promise you something, all right? And I want you to hold me to this. So as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio, your voice of all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce, when you have that show for Endgame, I'm gonna buy a ticket symbolically so you can have somebody to get out there and have the opportunity to watch you in the ring. So I want to make that known right now, right? So when you have that show, you get that date, we're going to bring you on before that. I want to symbolically buy a ticket to support you, because I don't just want to have you on my platform. I want you to succeed, all right?
Also, too,
right with that?
let me, I appreciate the gesture, but here's another thing that people don't realize. You talked about us not making any money off of this. Believe it or not, Endgame is a free show.
Okay, well, you know what? Then in that case, I'll buy a ticket for you anyway.
Also, too, let me just throw it out like this instead. Instead of you buying a ticket, here within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to message you privately. I'm going to send you one of my T-shirts.
You got it.
And I am also wanting, because word of mouth is everything for us. We've grown very organically in the 8-9 months that we've been going. So while I've said I don't work for free, also too, I understand what Tilly and Sky Felton are trying to do, because this is a showcase. This is going to be many people's first time watching, and we're trying to pack out a yard. It's going to be one of the most backyard wrestling, professional wrestling shows you can get besides, but also that being said, I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. I've been saying it since day one, and Endgame and Gold Rush especially. Gold Rush is a step in the right direction, but Endgame will really show everyone what these 3 letters on this title represent.
And these 3 letters also represent you being in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Let me get to some more comments, and people definitely want to talk to you. Your hunger is real. Please never lose it. And I agree with that. Don't ever lose it. Don't ever lose it, because when the minute you don't, you're going to never get it back. I do this because I want to show people what I wish I could have learned early on. So many people have directly gone pro because of the influence I've had on them. I want people to learn. I love this. Also, Tom funding these shows demonstrates how much he cares. Tom deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Well, I'm actually trying to be like that other guy that had a Hall of Fame that we can't say anymore with 3 initials. So personally, I'm actually trying to go out of my way with that. But no, I appreciate that. But that's what I'm here for. I think at the end of the day,
To piggyback on that too, you have done a lot of stuff for the backyard wrestling community,
I
and hell,
appreciate
even though it just not even just for us, but I've seen the work that you've done for others, really trying to build a community, and it's been something impressive to watch because I'm a numbers guy, but also at the same time, I'm someone who likes to do stuff that is new and innovative. And this show has really proven to me that there's a lot of characters, but also at the end of the day, we're all the same people who just like
that's it.
professional wrestling.
Listen, and that's what it's all about. People come from different parts of the world. People have different lifestyles. They have different experiences. But at the end of the day, there's one thing. There's one thing that unites us. There's one thing that can bring us together, and that is the sport of wrestling. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I'll go out of my way to support anybody that's here because that's what I believe that we should be doing. And Jack also wants to point out, which now I'm gonna buy your shirt now, especially after what Jack said. I might be the only person in the world that owns his XW shirt. Yeah, you know what? I think that's probably true. I mean, but there's probably a lot of shirts out there. In fact, my DBW shirt's probably the same thing. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of wrestling shirts. And my running joke at this point is all I do is wear wrestling shirts. They're usually backyard
Oh,
wrestling.
dude, trust me. And like, unfortunately, to kind of to break character for a minute, man. There's just so many damn wrestling shirts that are only black with one logo on it, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
mean,
victim of it too.
at this
All
point,
black everything.
I think the last like 7 months straight, I kid you not, you probably chuckle. I've worn a black wrestling T-shirt, either black pants or black shorts. So literally,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like I just be the color black. In fact, you'll laugh so much before I get to a couple more things on Gold Rush, then obviously say sayonara. Is at this point I got invited to I won't say who it was. It was a family member's wedding coming up, and I specifically said the only way I'll attend the wedding is if I could wear my wrestling shirt. And they were like, they kind of looked at me, but then I was like, well, should I pull out my bank account? And then they were kind of like, well, okay, yeah, because obviously that's, kind of, it's kind of what I hold on people, kind of like that other guy we used to say named Mr. McMahon, but
Oh
thankfully
God.
we do it in different ways on Sportswire, unlike him,
Uh,
thankfully, but we're always here. So yes, if you have a shirt, I will buy the shirt. Anybody has a shirt out there, send it my way. I will make sure that we take care of you. Also, no, I actually don't have curves, believe it. Actually, I'm in pretty good shape, believe it or not. But yeah, I think Jack is actually saying hides the fat curves. No, actually, I'm okay. I'm actually, thankfully, I've actually always been, not a health nut, but I've always been physically active. But that's here nor there. Not about me. Let me get your final words before Gold Rush.
So Gold Rush is a very big opportunity for me, the other wrestlers on the roster, and I've said it earlier today. I'm all about proving people wrong, and my match against Cobalt will be no different. Unfortunately for him, it's just not his time, and I'm not a guy who's willing to let other people make a name off of me. But also at the same time, I am growing every other day, whether it's the knowledge of the sport that we all love,
Amen.
but also at the same time, I have something to prove. This is his territory. It is a professional wrestling ring. The venue we're doing it at is actually the very same venue that he learned how to wrestle at in the first place. So I'm going to home grounds there for him. Gold Rush Rumble, 10 guys for a briefcase for a title opportunity at their discretion. Ugh. I mean, I already have a title that gives me it's just kind of nailing the coffin all the way in, but it wouldn't be bad to have two shots. Not that I need two, but it'd be nice to have both. At this point, it's just what else can I do, Tom? And AWO keeps growing. There's going to be more stuff that comes to it. I'm sure. Like hell, once we get that ring, who knows? Maybe they'll start a fucking tag division. Me and the Black Flag Army will rip that up too.
You gotta have a tag division. At this point, you gotta have. You got a big roster.
Who else is there besides us, though? That's the thing. Black Flag Army, we run this shit. I'm sorry, but like that's just how it goes. You got the professional AJ Morgan. You got the war criminal Dylan Andrew. You got the motherfucking kingpin ADT. 2 out of 3 hold titles. And, also, too, Dylan Andrews is going to be in the Gold Rush, too. So that might make things a little interesting. But
And
also, at
Dylan,
the
we
same
haven't
time,
seen on TV in a while. And I think when Dylan comes back, he's kind of more or less the wild card of things, more or less, kind of referencing that name you used to know.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's exciting to me. I always welcome, new types of things. But also, too, I mean, hell, who said today that they were going to be in it? It was Hacksaw
Brown, yep.
Not So Slim Shady, Victor Thorne, Dylan Andrews, myself. Did Seth Maverick say it?
I don't remember if Seth
he's on the poster, so I'm assuming he's there. And then
you
I
said
saw
Victor
Christopher
Thorne,
James on there as well.
and you said Victor Thorne, if I'm not mistaken. Victor Thorne, I know he announced.
There's a lot of big names in this, and hell, for the most part, it's all names that I know and I've beat. So it's intriguing, but also at the same time, it's a Rumble match. It can get down and dirty. So I'm all for it. I'm all for seeing, what transpires over that time. I really do hope that Tilly or Sky have made some sort of deal to get someone we haven't seen. I really do. Not because of the fact that, I'm getting tired of the competition or I beat X, Y, and Z. Let's make this shit fun. I mean, let's. I talk a lot of shit, Tom. Everyone knows this, but also at the same time, like, I like to make things interesting. Whether that's me catching people off guard when I tag them on stories on Instagram, or whether, I just show up at the end of a gauntlet match and take a title away from someone and become the most, dominant champion that this title has ever seen.
Hey,
in
listen, I said it. Listen, to me, the facts speak for themselves. Inaugural AWL heavyweight champion, new division champion, 4-time AWL champion, 2-time HCW champion, GCW Intercontinental champion. I mean, the initials of BYW should be spelled ADT. I mean, your background as a power lifter, amateur wrestler. I mean, you are kind of like the new version of that guy that we used to be able to say with the first name with a B and last name with an L. And you are kind of like the Gunther of the yard. So at the end of the day, I mean, you know what? That's why people need to go out and support the Alliance Wrestling League. They're closing in on 400 subscribers. Let's hit that sub button right now. Hit it, Alliance Wrestling League Instagram. Give him that follow on Facebook now as well, ADT. Give him that information. Go follow him, like him, do whatever it is, and follow the Alliance Wrestling as they go on this journey. And I'm going to ask Hillbilly Tilly these questions when he comes on here in a couple weeks. We're going to have Hillbilly on. We're going to induct him in the Hall of Fame. So I promise you, I'm going to certainly talk a lot about him and those decisions. But before I move on, a buddy out there says Seth Maverick will be in the Gold Rush Battle Royal.
Look at that.
He's alive. I was wondering about that. So I guess he now
maybe
lives.
It's an AI bot. You never know nowadays.
Well, I have heard that AI bots are becoming a big thing now. I mean, apparently
they are.
They say that Kiss is actually going to be an AI version at some point.
Maybe AI can teach Seth Maverick how to actually fucking wrestle.
Well, I'm gonna certainly say for the audience, tune into the Alliance Wrestling League's YouTube page to find out more about that and see what Seth Maverick can do coming up here in Gold Rush in the next few weeks. And also, I want to bring it back to the Atomic Titan. Yeah, I don't know if I should be in the Hall of Fame, but I do appreciate the support. Yes, I'm supporting TBW. Yes, I'm supporting AWL. I'm supporting anybody out there that needs my help. I'm here 24/7. You can message me whenever you like. It has been an absolute honor. I can't wait to bring you back on in the next month. We'll obviously catch up on post Gold Rush. We'll get ready for the big live shows. You'll obviously tell us that you won the Gold Rush. You'll have the new division title, and you'll be on your way to conquering more things like the conquering kingpin that you are. So I turn it over to you, and I give you the floor. I like to give you some closing thoughts, champ. This is your special day. This is your moment in history, and I want to turn it over to you and give us some Hall of Fame like closing thoughts, my friend.
Like me, love me, hate me, whatever it may be.
I think people started to like you a little bit tonight. I think people they were rooting for you a little bit.
It feels a little different. I guess it's just the effect of the maroon shirt. People tend to not tell lies when they're wearing this type of stuff. But I figured if I was going to do something like this, I'm not going to sit crisscross applesauce, but I can at least dress up and wear a scarf for a couple minutes.
Fair play.
AWL is on path to really just becoming everything that I thought it could be and then some. And, that's thanks to me. That's thanks to Christopher James. That's thanks to all the talent, Dylan Andrews, AJ Morgan, Travis Hunt, Tyson Gates, Cobalt, Victor Thorne, Hacksaw Brown, you name it, everyone. But also at the same time, now this is where people's about to hate me. It's because of me. It's because of me. You can look on any single video that has my face on it, which is a lot of them. For people who call me a paper champion, my face is on a lot of these matches. And they're also on all of the big show posters, normally the biggest fucking face you see, because I just am that guy. I'm that guy in every sense of the word. I have been the workhorse. I have been putting the workhorse in the never-ending workhorse division. That is just how this rolls. I have done a lot of things in backyard wrestling, and I'm really looking forward to kind of giving some closure to this chapter, not in the sense of, me leaving, but also just the transition into becoming an independent wrestler. That is something that I have dreamed for. That is something that I have, my very existence has been based upon. And also this entire time, I've dealt with a lot of haters. I've been called the cancer of backyard wrestling, believe it or not, at a very young age. And I don't think that's ever reigned more true than what it does right now. I am a toxic son of a bitch, but people watch because I make them feel something in their heart, feeling something that you can't fabricate. You can't fabricate passion the way that I do. Yeah, I'm an asshole. Yeah, I have an ego fucking as tall as a trade center. It does not matter because Tom, I love this. I love
This is great.
professional wrestling.
This is what
I
it's about,
love
champ.
professional wrestling. And that is something that has been near and dear in my heart. And I know I've kind of, unfortunately spoke my mind a little too much and made people like me when I'm supposed to be the bad guy. But also, too, I've been breaking trends this entire time. That's kind of just what I do. So, like I said, love me, hate me. You will all tune in to watch. You will all
I
tune
tune
in
in
to
every
see what the
time you're
hell
on the
happens.
show. I tune in every time you're on AWL TV. I watch the product. So, yeah, you know what? I mean, it obviously speaks for itself. What you've done, there's no question that you're going to go on and do bigger and better things. There's always an expression that I use before we sign off for the evening and why I inducted you into the Hall of Fame. It was famously once said by Presidents John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan. And then a rising tide will always lift all boats. You, my friend, will always be the rising tide that will lift your boat and others around you to have the success and the kind of things that you want to achieve, not just in your wrestling career, but what you want to do in the rest of your life. You haven't even hit the prime of your career. You haven't even hit the peak of your life. And that's why you are not only a Hall of Famer, but I promise you, you'll be in Hall of Fames many more times over. And you will be somebody that we're going to not only watch coming up here with Gold Rush here in the next few weeks, but also certainly throughout
Good
2024.
old Endgame. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but good
Sure.
old Endgame. And honestly, the strap is nice, but we already know I don't like playing second fiddle. So, Endgame, you just wait. Endgame, we change the game. That's how this works.
Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? You not only better go out there and join along while the AWL changes the game, follow them as they do it to be getting that front row seat kind of early before the train leaves that station in a number of different ways. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why we are honored to call our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, our kingpin of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He is our number 45, just like that number. That again, Michael Jordan. He's our Michael Jordan of the yard, just like number 45 when he played for the Birmingham Barons, not too far away from our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, where he lives and grew up. He was number 45 for the Barons, and he wound up being number 45 when he returned back to the NBA for the Chicago Bulls in March 1995. He is our number 45 in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and you're going to see him upcoming here in a number of different events for the AWL ahead. And that's why you want to go out there and support them in so many different ways on Instagram, Facebook, also AWL's pages that you have a chance to with ADT and Dylan Andrews, AJ Morgan, all the great talents. Check out their Instagram channels and certainly support them. Join the movement because all wrestling matters here on Sportswire Radio, and the AWL is about that. My friend, Congratulations. Congratulations on the last win. I'm surprised that Seth Maverick is alive, but we'll certainly see what his luck will be coming up here in a few weeks at Gold Rush. And keep up the great work. I can't wait to have you back on here. I'm going to ask Tilly some of the things I asked you. We'll see what Tilly's side of the story is here in a few weeks, and we'll see what he has to say. Plus, who knows what else is on his mind. And thank you for all you do for us. I can't wait to see what the future is. And yes, we give you the thumbs up as well. And definitely, I'll see you soon. And congratulations. And thank you for all that you do for this great sport.
Thank you, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the newest member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, the fifth member of our fifth class, the 45th member, the reigning defending new division champion. He's the Kingpin ADT, also of the Black Flag Army. My name is the voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. I'm going to be back on here in about 30 or 40 minutes. I'm going to do a Elimination Chamber preview live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So I'll have some guys on Sportswire Radio that fill me in because all I do is watch backyard and underground wrestling. So I'm going to have some guys in on the mainstream wrestling because my mainstream wrestling is what's going on AWL, IMF, ROEW, XCW, TVW, so on and so on and so on. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. All the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters.